Welcome once again to our channel. This is One-on-One with Dr. B. Today we are going to be discussing allergies in children. And for those of you who missed out on our Friday Zoom session, this video is for you. Stay tuned and enjoy yourself. Welcome, Dr. B. It's really good to have you on this session today.
Thank you very much, Shika, and thank you for having me.
Okay, so today's topic, allergies in children. Let's just start with, what are allergies?
I thought you should rather be lecturing me on what allergies are. Right. Allergies are, when we talk of an allergy, either in an adult or in a child, all that it means is that you, the individual, you may have been exposed to something that your body recognizes as a kind of insult, so to speak, and then your immune system will want to fight back, and by so doing, your body produces some chemicals that actually leads to the kind of signs and symptoms that you see in the individual who may have one form of allergy or the other. So it's a body or the immune system response to being exposed to something that it considers as foreign, or something that it doesn't want to tolerate, or something that doesn't go well with your body. And so that's all that, if you want to look at the total concept of allergy. Yes. And obviously, probably by the course of the session, people can appreciate exactly what the various forms are.
So what is peculiar about allergies in children that we have to take note of?
Right. So if you ask parents out there, they become very miserable. I mean, both parents and children become miserable knowing that, for instance, every single day of the child's life, the child is either sneezing or is wheezing or the nose is blocked. And then they don't seem to be able to pinpoint exactly what is happening to the child. Of course, you as an adult, you might be able to know that, okay, maybe I did ABC, but in the case of the child, it's difficult for the parents to have identified, because children as they are, and most of them, so those who are in the school going period, they don't stay with us 24/7. So then they go out there, they become a bit of exposed to the world out there. And if you are a parent and you don't, or it's not been diagnosed that your child has a particular, kind of allergy, then it's something very worrisome. But as I mentioned, it can be quite troubling and quite sometimes it has some psychological effects on some of both the patients, the parents, and the children. You can imagine, let's say, a child who has some form of allergy, where when other classmates or peers are playing, because you have some form of allergy, you will not want to be part of that kind of play. All those things can be problematic for a child that you've served a meal. The entire household is on the dining table, but for one reason or the other, or for one type of allergy or the other, the child might not be able to participate in the meal that is meant for the entire family. And so some of these things can have repercussions on the children when it comes to why they can't participate in certain things that everybody is supposed to. And mind you, allergies are such that anybody who has, there isn't any specific type of signs and symptoms that you see in the two different individuals. What I'm trying to say is that allergies are very unique to specific individual. It is individual based. And that's why you should be able to identify yours. That's if you have, and in this case, our children, parents should be able to identify them and then be able to help them. And probably by the course of the session, they should be able to have an idea as to some of the things that could be the reason why their children have allergies.
Wow. So what are some of the types of allergies in children?
Right, so most parents, when they come to the consulting room, will complain of skin rashes. And so that is where we have what we call or is known to be the eczema. Eczema is a type of allergy, but the contributing factor or the cause of it, there are various reasons why a child can have an eczema. Alright. Food allergies can also be a type of allergy, but the type of foods or the things that will contribute, the type of meals or ingredients of meal that can contribute to a child having the allergies also vary. I mean, I presume that we should have chance to go through some of those things. And then some form of ear infections, mostly the viruses, can also lead to some form of the type of allergies that children do have. And so when it happens that way, it's normally it happens mostly because there is a predisposition to some kind of colds. And so children who have some kind of colds will have the tendency to have a frequent ear infection.
So let's go more into the food allergies, because a lot of mothers are concerned about what their children eat. They are not sure whether the child is allergic to this or that. So even in introducing meals to children who have come off breast milk, it poses a bit of a concern to them. So let's talk more about the food allergies. What are some of the food allergies that mothers have to look out for?
Okay, so to start with, it is believed that the commonest cause of allergies in children, and for that matter in infants specifically, is the cow milk. Alright, the cow milk. And that's why the advice out there is that let's try and get the kids to do the exclusive breastfeeding, because once you start the cow milk in that early stage, let's say within the first month of life, and there is a protein in there that your body recognizes as what do you call it, an allergen or something that the body needs to fight back, then you create a situation where the body will develop or produce the histamines, and these are the histamines are the ones that will tend to create the problems in the form of signs and symptoms that you eventually see. And that's why it's important that at least for the infants, we will still advocate for the exclusive breastfeeding, because most of the children, they would actually outgrow that kind of allergy, but there are a few others that this kind of allergy can persist, in fact up to age 5, it is believed. But there are very few instances where they can even have it for a whole life. They get it. And so cow milk is one of the very frequent meals or like food that can actually provoke this kind of allergies in the children. Then you realize that for some of the children, they can start vomiting, or they can the skin, become the eruptions of the skin can become very dry. They can have dry skin. Some of them can, the ones that are a bit older, they will be scratching. Then sometimes maybe lead to bleeding of the skin. And so you would want to, as much as possible, identify whether your child has the cow milk, allergy, then you would want to avoid it. And it shouldn't be about the types of milk we have on the market. Once the child is allergic to a cow milk, It doesn't matter whether it's, all the various, I don't want to mention brands on the market. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's specific about the fact that it's a cow milk, and the protein in the cow milk that the child might be reacting to, and you would want to avoid as much as possible. Now, if you look at, let's say, the bigger populations, you will realize that most people would also have some form of allergies towards the seafoods. So the shrimps, the salmons, the crabs, you just name them. So when it comes to those things, that's what I'm saying, allergies are very individualistic. You would have to be able to identify that. For me, it might not sound common to everybody, but for me, when I take shrimps, for instance, I will start itching, my throat may start hurting, or I will have some eruptions, the hives, there are some skin rashes, and abdominal pain, and so on and so forth. These are things that some children are able to tell you that if they take a particular meal, this is what happens to them. And of course, adults are better positioned to give us a bit more details as to what happens to them. So more or less, these are some of the allergies that we tend to see in children. And when it comes to the food aspect, the seafoods are mostly very what do you call it? There are those that also react to grains like wheat. Alright? Wheat is also one of the things that they tend to react to, and of course, some of them are very sudden. The moment the child tastes anything that contains wheat, the itchy starts, the tearing of the eye, sometimes they can have swelling of the face, the lips. Sometimes it can lead to, for instance, if you consider a type of thing like the peanut, the reaction can be quite devastating. It can lead to what we call the anaphylactic shock, where the child suddenly can become pale and non-responsive because the child has been exposed to something that the child is allergic to. And that one is life-threatening. So it is imperative that parents should also identify some of these meals that the children might be allergic to. There are people who are allergic to some type of fruits. Do you get it? Yeah, there are children who are allergic to some type of fruit. So it is up to you, a parent, to be able to identify that, okay, for me, when my child takes pineapple or hell breaks loose or orange, don't look at it like, oh, this is common. And that because it's common, everybody is supposed to tolerate it. No, that's not. Allergies do not work that way. So it is very peculiar and particular to individuals, very specific. So it has to be considered that way. Alright. So those are some of the meals that you can look at. There are those that also react to soy. Alright. Soy is also one of the things that children can be very so just like all other allergies or reactions, they may also erupt, their skin might erupt with rashes or abdominal pain, throwing up. These are some of the meals that they tend to react to. There are quite a lot, but for time purposes, I think when it comes to the food aspect, these are some of the things that we need to look at. But if you permit me, you can go into other forms of allergies or things that can provoke allergies that most of the time parents don't put their mind to.